Crisscross, pulling floss, needle thread from black to red, pink, navy green, and in between, snuggles my brain. I'm Stitch Me Sane, and welcome to my Flosstube channel.
Hello Flosstube, it's Carla from Stitch Me Sane. Welcome to episode number 12. It is Sunday the 23rd of July already. It's been a little while since I saw you, and this is the first time that I have been filming at night, so I hope the light is good for you. It's a little brighter than usual for me, relying on artificial light rather than natural daylight, but you know, life gets really busy and I haven't had an opportunity to catch up with you all during the day, so I have transitioned to a bit of a nighttime filming session, so let's see how we go. Welcome to my returning subscribers and welcome to anyone who's new here. This is a channel where I talk about my love of all things cross stitching, and as I said, my handle is Stitch Me Sane, where you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. Episode number 12. I have a lot of stitching to show you. It was early June that I saw you last, and tonight I have over 16 whips that I've been working on. So I guess just a little bit of a brief overview. It has been some time. I'm primarily a full coverage stitcher, but I have a lot of smaller pieces thrown in there that aren't full coverage, some samplers, and I primarily work from Pattern Keeper, but I also have a lot of paper charts, and I also have a variety of different fabrics that I work from, and tonight I'll get used to that. Tonight I will be showing you a variety of fabrics between 14 count, 18 count, 20 count, 25 count, 28 count. I stitch 2 over 1 or 1 over 1, and on any of the linens that I have, I do stitch 1 over 1. So I hope you stick around and you find something that interests you this evening. Whichever part of the world you're in, daylight, nighttime, get some stitching, relax, and we will work through what I have been working on since we last caught up. I will follow up at the end with a bit of plans that I have for, you know, the rest of July and leading into August, which is actually my birthday month, so that's a bit exciting. It's coming up quicker than I would like at this stage. And you know, I guess a few other reasons as to why I've been really busy. We've had some school holidays thrown in there, and my girls have gone back to basketball and training and working, and everything's just really busy. It's winter here in Australia, so still getting a lot of stitching done in my downtime, especially at night because it's cold and it's good stitchy weather. So let's go, because I have a lot to show you and I may be here all night if I don't get started. For those of you who are new, I love Carolyn Manning designs. It is something that I show quite frequently, the pieces that I'm working on Instagram, and I know a lot of you have jumped on board and joined me and many others around the world in stitching these fabulous designs. They are a little bit for everybody. You can get full coverage, but they're really simple stitches and they're just full of color. So today I have 4 of my 7 Carolyn Manning designs to share with you. I will get started with, disclaimer. So I had a couple of issues with filming and space on my phone and editing and all of those things that Flosstubers are familiar with. So I lost a lot of things that I accidentally deleted that are helpful to me when making my Flosstubes. So typically I would show you the finished piece together with the last time that you saw the piece that I was working on, a pic of that. I'm not going to have those progress pictures tonight because I deleted them and that's just the way it is. So we'll have to start from tonight working forward. But I'll certainly show you a picture of what the finished piece is going to look like. So the first one being stained glass. This is a Carolyn Manning design, as I've already mentioned, and I'm stitching it on 20 count Aida, charcoal Aida, 2/1. And would you look at those colors? There's a few people on Instagram that have also jumped on board stitching this piece. Caddy Sue Cats, Mama Bear Stitchery, which is Mummy Bear Stitches, who's on Flosstube here. Getting going there with the 310 outline. It's not full coverage piece. It is got the border there, which is why I selected the charcoal fabric, which was the recommended. And I went with a 20 count. So this is where I am at. Let me fold it. The darker fabrics are always more difficult to see. So this is where I am at, and as you can see, I have been working on the 310 border. Bring that in there for you to see. I've continued with the outline at this stage because it's been really quite fun to get the structure of this piece. So Barb at Stitch Brat on Instagram and Stitch Brat Stew here on Flosstube is stitching a different version of this stained glass design called Garden Glass, which is on a pale yellow fabric. And hers is just as beautiful. She's actually got her entire border done, so if you're interested in different colorways of this particular design, have a look on Instagram. This is the outer border here, and each of those little squares have a different color in them. There's a lot of colors in here, but the overall stitch count is, I think, about 27,000. And as I said, it's not completely full coverage. There's 16 of these squares, which I've started working on 8 already, because that's the way I roll. I just stitch everywhere. That needle minder is from Ginger Stitch AU here in Australia. I really like their needle minders, they're really strong. So yeah, that's stained glass, and I am 6.35% of the way done, and I put in 1,265 stitches since I last saw you, so I'm pretty pleased with that progress. And I'll continue working on the 310 for now. But who knows, you might see some colours popping in. You'll quite like it on Instagram. Before I go any further, I would just like to highlight, as I just mentioned, my friend Barb, Stitch Brat Stew here on Flosstube, dropped her first video recently. Congratulations, Barb. I would like to encourage you all to go over and check her out. She did a whip parade of some beautiful pieces, but I'm pretty sure not all of the whips that she has in her stash. And they are just beautiful. I regularly mention her on my channel. So you will be seeing a few of the pieces that we stitched together. So yeah, congratulations, Barb. Welcome to Flosstube, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you share with us moving forward. Speaking of, the next one I started with Barb as part of a birthday sale that she started in 2021. And this is Carrot Cake. I've shown this quite recently on my Flosstube and on Instagram. I was hoping to get to 50%, a goal of which I failed. Nevertheless, I did put in 715 stitches since you last saw it. I would like to highlight that a number of you have pointed out that the chart is quite different, or stitching up a little differently to the way in which mine is progressing. I have some anchor subs in a number of my Carolyn Manning designs. I started them earlier on in my stitching journey when I had primarily anchor threads in my collection. And yeah, so that might be the little difference in color that you are seeing as mine takes shape in comparison to either the chart or others that you may see on Instagram. So this is an 18 count Aida, and I'm stitching it 2/1. Let me just get my bearings on where we're at, which is this way. I'm at 46.95% here we go. So as you can see, I've nearly finished the entire border except for this little section up here. It's a symmetrical piece, so you do stitch it on repeat 4 times, but I really enjoy stitching these shooting star versions. It's from the Shooting Star collection, from the center out. I've had a lot of fun doing it that way, and I've actually started another one, Grandma's Lilacs, which I'm also stitching with Barb in a similar fashion. I really like the 2 threads on Carolyn Manning Designs, and I use Ada for mine. Different counts. I have 14, 18 and 20 count Ada going on. I like the plumpness that gives my stitches when I am stitching on them, and particularly as they are sort of, you know, creeping towards a finish. I really like the effect. So I'll pull that in a little closer for you so that you can get an understanding of what I'm talking about. So I think that orange, that bright orange, is a anchor substitution. And that bright green might be as well, if I recall. It's fantastic. It's on I think a natural Ada. Excuse me. For those of you who are new here, I don't really stitch on the fancy fabrics much. Being a full coverage stitcher, I do prefer just to stock up on the bigger pieces of plain fabrics to have in my stash, because in the long run you don't actually see all of those beautiful fabrics that all of you stitch, like, you know, your mirrors and Barbaranas and samplers and all those lovely things. But moving forward, I think it's something that I would like to delve into, so we'll see how we go. So that's my second Carolyn Manning piece called Carrot Cake. The third one I'm going to show you is a recent new start that I had with Angie from @AngieSlowlyCrafts here on Flosstube and Instagram. It's called Glow Up. Check this out. I love it so much. I've been actually working quite feverishly on this one since I saw you, and have put in 1,558 stitches for a total of 12.2% already. I know, this one's quite small. It's only 12,000 stitches for the overall stitch count. It is full coverage, and it's a little unlike other Carolyn Manning designs. The border is quite unique as it has alternating colors, and I just really like the bright pinks and the effect that has with the black and white borders in this piece. This is where I am at. So there's 4 squares, and I think I might aim to complete maybe one. You can't actually see the white, so we'll bring that in because I have stitched quite a lot of the white already. This is on a 20 count Ada, and I'm stitching it 2 over 1, as I said, but you can see the border there. It's so cool with the black and the white. I really like this one, so I think we might see this one again soon. Look how little it is. I'm not used to showing tiny little pieces of fabric like this. So that's really fun. I'm having fun with how quickly it's progressing. So this one's Glow Up. And yeah, it's definitely a 20 count. 20 count Ada, a scrap I would have had in my stash. I love that for Carolyn Manning's. You can just grab a random scrap, which I often have off of really big pieces that I use for big full coverages. So yeah, Angie, looking forward to seeing your progress on that one soon too. And lucky last for my Carolyn Manning section or segment, which is what it's becoming, because I usually do show you 3 or 4 out of the 7 that I have, and who knows how many more I might start. I did see is it the Candy? I think it's the Candy collection that she's bringing out and going to release soon. They look quite exciting. So my last one is Unicorn, and this is my travel piece. It always has been. That's the only way I stitch this one. I'm stitching it as 3 separate pieces, one each for my daughter and me. So we all have a piece of Unicorn. I'm stitching it on 20 count Aida, 2/1, and I'm only going to show you one of those 4 pieces today. This is it, and I'm nearly finished this one. Look at that. This one has anchor substitutions in it as well. Oh, I really like this one. So pretty. Sorry, I'll try and hold that steady for you. I hope the light's good without the natural daylight for you. I really like my sparkly little needle minder. It's from JK's, I think, which is a local online supplier here in Australia. So that's Unicorn, 20 count, 2/1. There's actually, see, just here, if you see that just there, it's where I've missed the cross on one of my stitches, and I desperately need to go back and fix that. It stands out, and I'm sure it stands out to you now that I've pointed it out as well. I should tell you a story about this. Actually, the last time I posted this on Instagram, I was on the train. I stitch on this on the train on the way to work. I work in the CBD here in Melbourne. I basketball or swimming lessons with my daughters, and it was a really nice picture. I was on the train, but what was going on in the background was I'd gotten onto the train, Hurstbridge line, for anyone who might see me, please say hello. And I had actually put in my coffee mug, my reusable coffee mug, that still had a little bit of coffee in the bottom. Okay, probably a little bit more than a little, in the bottom of the cup, and I thought I had popped the lid, so it's very, very, very great it's sealed when you pop the lid properly. Got on the train, put my bags down as usual, got my stitching out, and I was like completely just zoning out on my stitching, and all of a sudden someone across the way says, hello, and I look down, and there was a river of coffee going up and down the train every time it moved that was leading directly to my bag. And I had, as people kept getting on and off the busy city stops, I kept having people point it out to me, and I was like, yes, I know. And a lady happened to sit down next to me who then got out her knitting, and it was really quite nice. We had a little exchange where she pointed out, look, the coffee didn't hit your stitching, so that's the priority, and everything else is all good and well. And I really liked that. That improved my trip, because you can't escape your coffee river on a peak hour city train. So that's what was really going on the last time I posted this particular piece. Just never know what's really going on in the background, hey? Instagram just doesn't tell you the full picture. All right, so that's my Carolyn Manning. Next, I'm going to move on to my Stitch Me Saying Wow segment for those of you who are new here. This is a segment, I don't know where I pulled this word from, but clearly I am developing segments. So this is my Stitch Me Saying Wow segment. It's a hashtag I use on Instagram, and it is a reflection of a collection of pieces that I am stitching that represent to me strong female images. And I hope to have a wall of women, which is the wow part, someday in my house. And I would love you, and I've welcomed you all, and there's many of you that have joined me already in sharing the hashtag if you have a piece that is something that you're stitching that you feel is your wow. So come on over, check it out on Instagram, Stitch Me Saying Wow. Today I have 5 whips to show you in this segment, and they're all quite large. Kicking off firstly with Toward Truth. Look at this. This is a Ditch the Background cell that I've climbed on board with Kaylee Tent Stitch at the Sewing Shop CA in Canada. And she was kind enough to remove the background on this chart for me. And so I have used 28 count grey gum, and it has a mottled effect on it, which I hope to bring in with that grey stitching in the background there. The hair is not something that I've started to tackle yet, but I really should sooner rather than later. I am working on her face. I am a center starter for most of my pieces, and it gives me the ability to be able to stitch wherever I like, which is good because most of these pieces I'm going to be working on for probably a decade plus. Let's get real here. So I hadn't really done much on this last time I showed you, and I thought it was about time that I pulled it out and got started. It also has an E12 thread, I might add, which is the purple lines running through like grids across the piece. Oh, and this is opalescent fabric, if I didn't mention that already. So here we go. I'm at 1.37% and I put in 1,046 stitches. I have started working on the moth that is covering her mouth, and you may be able to see a little bit of the outline of her nose there, which is sort of the center that I started in. So let me bring that in and show you those teeny tiny little stitches. Or you can see a little bit of the opalescent. They're tiny. And there's a lot of confetti there in that moth. Lots of pinks coming down here. I've got some anchor subs in here as well. And this is a bit of a smaller of my full coverage pieces. The overall stitch count I think is at about 160,000. You can see the hoop mark there. I've found that this opalescent fabric really kind of creases much more than my normal ones. Just going to pause there for a sec. Sorry. Okay, so I'll open this fabric up so you might be able to see what I mean with the mottling. So hopefully, am I holding it the right way for you? No, I'm not. Oh, it's getting late. I think that's the right way now. Yes, we've got the moth there. So yeah, you can see the mottling on the fabric. This is a printed fabric by Svarka. I think it's called grey gum. And so on the back it's just the plain, and then it's printed on the front. So I really like it. I need to do more on this. I like the whole concept. Need to get to that hair, that's for sure. So that's 28 count 1/1, and the charts towards truth from Kaylee 10 Stitch. Next up we have, I've been having real fun with this one. It's called Crimson Blossom and Tangerine Sky. Look at how beautiful she is. And she's from Contemporary Cross. Paula over there on Instagram. She has some fabulous charts, and I have 2 of hers on the go. Both of which I am stitching Extreme Cross Country. This particular one is the biggest out of all of my whips, and it is 350,000 stitches, and I am just chipping away at the 939, which was the first color that I selected, and not actually the one with the largest stitch count. That's the 310, and I don't know when I'll slide that in, whether it'll be before some other colors or next after the 939. I'm stitching this on a 28 count linen 1/1. I have a huge chunk of this linen, and so I've got a few pieces on it, and I still have some more in my stash, which is great because I love it. This is where I am at, and as you can see, we are starting to kind of get a little something going on. These stitches are teeny tiny. For those of you who are learning all of these interesting terms and acronyms that we use here on Flosstube, Extreme Cross Country is a method of stitching where you select one color and finish that color till it's complete, and then move on to the next color. So I've selected the 939. It's pretty risky because one stitch out and it's going to put out everything. But what I've selected to do, and I am working on this on Pattern Keeper, which makes things a lot easier. What I've chosen to do is run down this border here. So we are lining up here we are lining up here, here, as you can see, each of those points that run down the border is all lining up. I've counted them on repeat, probably more times than I'm going to admit, just to be certain. And then I'm going to bring it into the center and keep coming down here to get an idea of how big this piece actually is. I'm going to open up the fabric, but I do feel that I'm starting to move across it now, which is really fun as a big full coverage stitcher. Look at that. Bearing in mind this is 28 count, so it's it's massive. But you know, even just seeing that first color going, which is 47,000 of the 350, is going to be so fun and really achievable. And then we'll see what happens from there. Obviously I'd like to finish it, but each color is going to be like a momentous finish in itself. And I added 749 stitches for a total of 0.86%, so I'm not even at 1% yet. This is probably one that I am aiming to continue to plug away at, one strand at a time. And I have been kind of working on it like probably twice a week. And I know that doesn't sound much for the size of the piece, but hey, I got progress. So the method's working and every stitch counts, right? That's my motto. Okay, oh, and the artwork for that one is Emmy Mustone, and there is a cell going, any Emmy cell, I think. Have a look at my Instagram, they're scattered throughout. I'm a big Sal fan. The next one is one of my Heaven and Earth designs. I am stitching, I think I have maybe 7 Heaven and Earth designs. This is another one that's not actually full coverage, but may as well be, because I think it's 160 odd stitches, 160,000 odd stitches as well. This is another one I'm stitching on 28 count. Look at her, you'll get an understanding of the non-full coverage down the bottom there. Not stitching all that white, thank goodness. Stitching it for my bestie, hoping to finish it for a milestone birthday that she has in a few years, but realistically might be the next milestone birthday the way I'm going with it. I've added 749 stitches for a total, that's my last one, sorry, I'm getting confused with my notes now. I've added only 437 stitches for a total of 2.53%. And I started in the center again, and this is where we're at. Sorry, let me just fix that a little bit. This is where we're at. So here's her eye really starting to come in now. The other eye is shaded out with that sort of butterfly effect. And I mean, most of this piece is blues, purples, and you know, those pastels. But gee, that's starting to look really good. I'm really pleased with that. I'll bring that in just so you can have a bit more of a look there at that eye. Hope you can see that. There's a lot of shading in that eye. But yeah, it's looking good. I should really post this a little bit more on Instagram. And this is another one that I work on quite sporadically. I really like to work on it when I've spent some time with Fit on the phone. Like if I'm talking to her on the phone, I'll work on this one, which I think is pretty cool. I'll give it to her one day and just be like, so this is all the time that we spent talking on the phone. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, so Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is Anna Dittman. That artist is quite popular on Instagram, and some of the pieces are just beautiful. So it's like a cream, 28 count cream Lugana, this particular one. And again, I've got some anchor substitutes in this one as well. Okay, 2 more for the Stitch Me Saying Wall of Women. Wow. This one's one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites. I swap out with this one and my Yes from Heaven and Earth Designs. Sort of each video. They're the 2 that I have the most progress on. And this one I started in April last year. And I have only put in, where am I at? Oh no, I have put in 1,599 stitches for a total of 12.59%. It's my beautiful Enter the Void 2 by Unconventional Cross Stitch, Aussie designer here in Australia, Jodie. Fantastic, some fantastic charts. I've got 3 and I'm actually going to show you all 3 of them tonight. This is the first one and I'm stitching it on a 25 count Lugana 1/1. Center start. I have a lot of park threads. You've probably noticed that by now. I do try and push them out of the way for you, but that's how I roll. I'm a cross-country stitcher and I park those babies all over the place. Here is Enter the Void. So I keep trying to chip away at her hash, and you can see it's really starting to kind of come down now. I haven't quite reached the bottom border. That's about here. The border, every time I say border with this piece, the artist is actually Adrian Border. There's a fantastic sale on Instagram, not Border This Sale. Check it out. It's some of the pieces. Kaylee 10 Stitch has got a fantastic one going on at the moment in there, you see. So I kind of deviate between the hat and her face, and I know I have to start putting in a lot more of the border. This one is hard to see on camera. You really don't get the full effect of those pastels, so I'm going to bring it in. I'm hoping over time, as I sort of pull in all of those little holes, it will really start to be a lot more solid looking. But you can see the detail that goes into that hat there with those pastels, and up here. So that top border is starting to take shape quite nicely, actually. Look at that, go me. So this has got 172,000 stitches on it. I've still got quite a few holes to plug in her face there. I don't have a full page finish yet. That's also typical of me. I tend to just stitch all over the place. But you know, every stitch counts. And I'd really like to sort of, her neck is going to literally come in here. I'm only a matter of a few stitches away from that now. What's this? That's a needle minder I got at the Vic Stitches retreat. And like, this one's a reasonable size. It's also 25 count. So look at that, you know? Oh, I'm so proud of her. Into the Void, Unconventional Cross Stitch. All right. That's one that you'll keep seeing. And I do like to put in a good 1,000 stitches every time I pull this out, and it usually is, you know, month to month. Lucky Last is one I've worked quite heavily on this one as well. This one's quite popular on Instagram, and it's another one by Unconventional Cross Stitch, Invitation to Sojourn, which I received from my Secret Santa last year. And I started it quite soon after. It's very big as well. It's 280,000, I think. And I have put in 1,762 stitches for a total of 2.36%. Typical center start, 28 count Lugana 1/1. Look at where I am at. So, I mean, I don't even think I have to describe it now. We've got the lips and her jaw, her thumb coming in underneath where she's holding it, and oh, look at that blending there. It's so good in real life. I love this one, and that's probably why I've gone really just quite nuts on it. Look at that. I've got a few gaps. I have been trying to really focus on filling in these gaps down around the contour of her chin. Can't wait to see some of that hair. And then I've also worked here on bringing the outline of her nose in as well, so that'll be quite good there. There's a lot of 310 sort of sifting in this part in the shadows, but you can see another finger sort of taking shape there as well, which is really cool. I'm getting close to 10,000 stitches on this one. For me personally, every 10,000 is a real decent chunk on one of my big full coverages, and I do like to get that in on multiple pieces over a 12-month period. So this will definitely be one of them, I think. She's so pretty. Love her. So that's the end of my Stitch Me Saying Wow segment. Bear with me. I hope you're still here. The rest of the pieces I'm going to show you are just like random pieces that I've worked on that don't have a segment. And the next one is The Lion King. This was a selection for my Wheel of Stitches for July from Alicia at Adventures of Stitching. My wheel spin was 1000 stitches. And she chose this one. It's one of the Thomas Kinkade kits. I've actually got this here. It's a paper chart that I'm stitching on. And these kits are really hard to find now. I was lucky enough to pick this one up together with some other pieces secondhand. This is the larger. There's sort of two sizes. This is the bigger one. And I'm using all of the called for kit. So the fabric, the threads, everything. This has got over 14 blended threads, including multiple blends with filament to get that real sparkly effect in the sky. And yeah, I've been working pretty furiously on this one because I've also joined a game with Barb. Marjorie Made Stitches here on Flosstube created this cool thing called Pick a Whip. And Barb and I threw in some ideas into a jar, and we're picking one every Friday. This week is tree. So this piece fitted really nicely with that prompt. Go check that out on Instagram. Marjorie's put some things up over there, her prompts, or you can choose your own, but it's really fun. It's just random, and I like having random things selected for me to choose. The other thing that this fit really well for was Alicia had started a Kinkade Brigade hashtag over on Instagram, because there's a lot of people stitching not just these particular Disney kits, but also just Thomas Kinkade pieces. So I'm going to jump on board that as well. So this is an 18 count Ada. It's so soft. I love this Ada, and this is where I am at. So I've already got 3 blended threads in there, would you believe, already? And here's my tree for the prompt, which works perfectly. I think another JK's needle minder here. As you can see, the border is quite slim. This is probably a smaller border than I would usually kit up myself. So just keep that in mind if you're stitching one of these kits. Be very careful on your measurements. I know I went over and measured multiple times because I was a little bit, wow, that fabric's really quite tight there. I hope I've done it correctly. I might actually try and get a border in down and across just to make sure and make that a focus quite quickly, just to give me that reassurance. But let's check these beautiful stitches out on 18 count 2/1. I do enjoy the plumpness of the 2/1 on a full coverage. There's a nice amount of confetti, but not enough to make the back go all tight and sticky with, you know, hundreds of different thread colors, like on a Max Color HAED, for example. So the Ada works quite nicely. It does look stiff to hold, but it's really lovely and soft, and I think it's going to work out really nicely. You can see the blended threads up here. For those of you who don't know what blended threads are, it's where you get 2 strands and they're different colors. So there's one here, and it gives it a real sort of slight variegation there in the stitching. That darker color there is one as well. Yeah, so this is my Lion King. I've got fond memories of this particular movie from when I was a kid. I've got 3 siblings, and my parents worked a lot of night shifts, so we were often watching movies on the old VCR. Lion King was one of them. It's quite popular by all of us. So I've still got I've put in 457 stitches of my 1,000, so still got a few more to go, and then I'll show that on Instagram and share it with you all when I complete that goal. The next one is the other July Wheel of Stitches edition that I like to do. This one's with Angie from Angie Slowly Crafts. This is my Mandala Tiles 4. and it's by Counting the Stars. Wow, Beck has some amazing charts. I'm really looking forward to starting another one. She actually released a Barbie inspired one, I think a couple of days ago, that just blew my mind. The colors in it, I just really spoke to me for some reason. But this is Mandela. This is amazing. It's 40,000 stitches with 100 tiles. Oh, where am I at? I've lost count now. Anyway, I think it's 100 tiles of 20 by 20 squares. And they're often separated as like individual tiles, so you get like a mini finish feel, as you can see there in the chart. I'm stitching this one on an 18 count white Aida 2/1, and I have completed a total of 6 tiles, fully complete. I had to put 1,000 stitches in for the challenge, and I've put in 683 stitches. I'm currently at 15.3%, and it is a full coverage piece. So this is where I'm at. Oh, I really like this one, the colors and the detail. It's got over 35 colors, I think, so it's not as basic as it may appear when you start getting into the finer detail on this piece. So we'll have a look at that now, and you can see the confetti in there in each of those mini tiles. So they're the ones that I've finished. That one, that one, that one, and the 3 on the bottom there. They're all fully finished. Oh, they're so pretty. You can see some of the tiles expand out into multiple tiles to make larger mandalas, like this one over here. So that's, and then it also comes up here, so there'll be 4 tiles in this particular mandala. Yeah, so that one's coming along really nicely. Thank you, Angie. Great choice. I really like the 18 count. And again, this is not a huge piece. It's 40,000. So very doable. Look at that. You can see I like a larger margin there. They are getting smaller the more confident I get in, I don't know, thinking about how I'm going to finish them and things like that. I'm not going to need that much fabric. So that's that one. We're getting there, bear with me. All right, the next one is Queen Anne. It is one of the collection that I have from the DMC Historical Houses collection, Olga Gostin artwork. And to me, they look like houses that you may see here in Kew, for example. And I wanted to start stitching one because I've got quite a few in my collection, which I've actually shown in previous videos. Barb and I started a hashtag historical houses sell over on Instagram. Heaps of people have jumped on board. It's so much fun, and there's even finishes already. Feel free to jump on board. As I said, I've got multiple in my collection, so I'll be there for a while. And I'm stitching this one, so I've kitted this one myself because I only had the chart for this one, not the actual kit. So this is on a 20 count 2/1 Aida, just a white Aida, another scrap of mine. It's not a huge piece, but it's got a lot of like French knots, half stitches, and a lot of back stitching in multiple different colors. Really intricate work with a lot of color changes. There's 44 different colors. This is where I'm at. Look at that. So I've been working on the veranda down here. This was also, I think, actually one of my June challenges for the Wheel of Stitches. So I did get it complete. I think I had a 2%. I really love the way the window here is starting to look quite 3D as it comes out. And you might be able to see here, I have put in some of the fence down here, so some of the white already. I've actually subbed in a Sullivan's thread there in the white. I had quite a bit of it and just wanted to see how that worked. I'm really enjoying it. It's quite a really nice thread. Sorry, I'm trying to pull that off there. And in the stained glass there, I also really love like the little alternating stitches. So I haven't done any of the back stitching yet, but I have started some of the half stitches, which is all of the sky and a lot of the bushes that are on either side. I'll hold this out for you. As I said, it's not a huge piece, but it is rather intricate, but it's looking so fabulous. You're actually starting to kind of see that it's a house. yeah. Okay. That one's coming along quite nicely. So as I said, I don't have all full coverage. That one's not full coverage, and it's a much smaller one. It's a paper chart. I do enjoy a whole bunch of different types of things. The next one, however, is the Big Heaven and Earth Designs, my most recent start, and this is the one that I have given the most love since I last saw you. It's the Big Pig. Check it out. I think I'm safe to say this one is also the one that has the most confetti. It's not my biggest piece, despite the name. It is 250,000, and I did hit the 1% mark, so I'm at 1.46% now. And I had 2,778 stitches. This is again on my favorite 28 count linen, the white. And I'm stitching at 1/1, full cross. All of my pieces are full cross. I haven't adventured out to 10 stitch yet, although as my overall stitch count slowly grows pretty big, I may need to consider that at some point in time. So let's have a look where we're at. And I went for a really unusual start because my partner Dylan, this is his favorite piece and helped me choose it. And he wanted to see the pig's face take shape. The center would have been a bit too low, corners not really working. So I went with a center top start so I can work down to the pig. So here are my bookshelf starts. 88 colors, I think, but they are scattered like confetti. You can see these pictures here starting to take shape next to the bookshelf. There's a bit of writing up here. You can see the books starting to form, the shelves taking shape. And then down here, I've actually started on the pig as well. So this is the outline of the pig's head there coming in. So let's have a look at the detail, the confetti in this up close so that everybody can appreciate what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at that. This is an unconventional cross stitch needle minder. So tough. Thanks, Jody. I really like them. So I think this one's going to be getting a lot of love. It's Dylan's favorite, so you know, just to get an idea, because I don't know, this puts things into perspective for me, I guess. Oops, dropped it the wrong way, ruined that effect. Here we go. So it's another biggie on my favorite linen. You can see how much of this I had with the size of the pieces that I'm still chopping it up for. I only started this one, I think, 2 months ago. So I'm really pleased with my progress on this one already, and it's really fun to work on. A lot of park threads, and I think that's going to continue to happen with the confetti to get that fur effect coming in on the pig. It's going to be really good. A couple of you have said to me on Instagram when I posted it last that they can't unsee the double eye of the pig. We'll see what that looks like when I get to it, because it will be sooner rather than later on this piece, hopefully. All right, next up we have Pandemic. Okay, last month this was my Wheel of Stitches choice from Alicia, Adventures of Stitching. I was committed to 2%, which was 1,500 odd stitches on this piece. Pandemic is a long dog sampler. It's pretty common and well known. A lot of you have stitched it. There's a huge variety of different amazing colorways that you have all come up with creatively yourself, including me. Stitched this from my stash. My mum's already finished hers. We started at the same time. I'm still at 57%. So that 2% was going to be, you know, a real kickstart to get going. Well, as soon as I got going, I ran into I ran into a mistake. And you know what it's like with these long dog samplers. It kind of throws everything out. So I'm looking forward to your opinion on what you think before I go any further. Let's rewind back to the goals. I didn't make the goal. Alicia was really generous and understanding and flipped the goal to 2% on Glow Up really quickly. I showed you that piece earlier. It was very small. That was achievable. Particularly in light that I procrastinated on that goal and left it to probably the last 3 days of the month last month. So thanks, Alicia. Okay, now, so Pandemic. Let's show you the whole piece so you get an understanding of what I'm talking about. here it is for those of you who aren't familiar with it. And whilst it's monochromatic in the picture, I certainly haven't stitched it that way. This is on 18 count Aida 2/1. And here is my version of Pandemic. As I said, I've used my threads from my stash, and they were anchor only threads, I think, maybe with a couple of DMCs. So what I'm going to do is now show you, here is the mistake. Okay, so get an understanding of it there. Let's bring it in, let's bring it in, let's bring it in, let's bring it in. Okay, so this whole line here is one stitch out. It should be up there further. Now I can still get this grey in there, but it's going to not be balanced with the rest of this particular motif. I haven't checked fully how it's going to throw out my little people, but tell me, do I keep it or do I rip that purple? That whole purple. It's a decent amount. I'm gonna call a few hundred stitches. Anyway, it's thrown me right off. It's in timeout. Pandemic is in timeout again. But look at that. This is actually one of my favorite bits over here, this particular ribbon here. I love this one here. And the other bit that I really love stitching was these cherries. I call them cherries. That was so fun. And it was one of the bits that everybody kind of started stitching quite early because it's on the top of the, and I just love them. So I'd love your ideas and your thoughts on Pandemic and what I should do with that, because I just want to get this one moving. 57%, you know. And I've also done the back stitching as I've gone, so I don't even have to come back to that. Go me. Okay, we're getting there. We've got a few more. This is my final unconventional cross stitch piece for the night, and the last of the three that I haven't shown you. This is Memento Mori, my orange stunner. And I'm stitching on 25 count 1/1. It was the piece that I fell in love with stitching 1/1 on, my first 25 count. And I didn't really look back from there with the bigger full coverages. Then I went to the 28 count. I haven't quite braved the 32 count 1/1 yet. That might be my 10th stitch adventure. So I have only put in a meager 282 stitches on this piece. I think Fleur asked me to stitch on it one night, so I did. And I'm at 11.43%. This is where I'm at now. It's a long, skinny piece, this one. So this is actually the entire height of the entire piece. And I think I worked here on the, I think that's the splash of the wave where her tail is. Got a mermaid needle minder as well to go with the piece. Look at all those blends of oranges coming in here though. I've got a full page finish on this one, which is pretty exciting. And this is only a smaller one at 100,000, I believe. I'll show you the length of the fabric though and what I mean by it's long and skinny. So it is very much long. And yeah, that's a good 11% there. Excuse me. I do work quite quickly on this one because there's a lot of block stitching in that orange. It does have, I think, in excess of 60 colors though. So there's a lot of different shades of orange and yellow and kind of those rusty reddy browns. Oh, this one was a new start that I had since I last saw you. I actually did show you the chart in my last video. It was a off the freebie table at the Vic Stitches retreat that I just had to grab because I have 3 daughters and I have 2 sisters. And this is an Odyssey chart that I also don't have any of, Australian. So it was a no-brainer. This became mine. And this is Best Friends by Odyssey. This is, it's got 88 colors and it's only 42,000 stitch count. So the fabric is real, and I've decided to use the paper chart because I like a paper chart challenge sometimes. It is full coverage, and my girls do prefer a dog. They have one at their dad's house. This So this is Best of Friends. I really like the vintage feel that this one's got going on. And I did put in a very small 345 stitches to start. I went with a center start, and I went with a 28 count Lugana 1/1, so it's going to be quite teeny tiny. And this is where I'm at. I think that's the blob of hand. I'll bring it in a little closer to show you, but I'm pretty sure that's all we've got going on. Lots and lots of colors. Hopefully we'll have a bit more to see as we move forward on this one. I've got a couple of other pieces that sort of will go really nicely with this particular sort of vintage feel. So yeah, I really enjoyed that new start, but excuse me, been talking for too long. It's coming up to an hour. I hope you're still here with me. But yeah, it's going to be slow going with the heavy confetti on the paper chart. I know I could have scanned it into Pattern Keeper. Kelly from Big Stitches was telling me that's a really easy thing to do, but for some reason I was so eager to start and thought, no, I love a highlighter. So we'll see how we go on that one. I'm also not too sure if the 28 count might be just a little too higher fabric for the particular piece and the pixelation in the chart. But again, we'll see how we go. So the very last piece that I do have to show you, aside from a little bit of a fun token bit of stitching that I also did, is my Alice in Wonderland. No, this is my Little Mermaid. Sorry, I'm also stitching the Alice in Wonderland. This is my donor stitch piece, the Little Mermaid. And I have the entire collection of donor stitch Disney collection pieces. I'm showing you 2 Disney pieces tonight. And 2 mermaids. So I don't know what's going on. But this is a 28 count 1/1. My favorite linen again. I have enough of that linen to stitch the collection if I choose to. I actually added, where did I add? 700 stitches for a total of now 9.87%. I know, I could have really gone to the 10%, hey, but I didn't. This is so much fun because it's got a lot of block stitching, and look at that. Another Little Mermaid needle minder. I've got the sail coming in there. And where I worked was, we worked on bringing in the outline for Ariel's face, a bit of her hair, the pink here, her bather top. Oh, I put in Eric's shirt, that was fun, the blue there. And oh, I put in this bright pink as well there, that was good. So let's have a look at the little stitches on this one. I really like the 28 count 1/1 for this block stitching. Like, look at that. It has such a cartoon effect, these designs. Really, really like them. And as I said, I also have the Alice in Wonderland one that I'm stitching with Barb, Stitch Brat Stew. Don't forget to check her out. First Flosstube. Oh, I think I might pull Alice out actually. I do like to work one of these as well each month. So there's my Little Mermaid. The Instagram hashtag for this is amazing too. There's so many different counts and finishes, and they just really pop, in my opinion. If you're a Disney fan, Donor Stitch over on Etsy. Those charts, you can find them, and you can get bundles as well, so that's really helpful if you want more than one for a bit of a price convenience. So that's it. That's all of the whips that I've been working on, because that wasn't enough. I did mention the prompt game that I have started with Barb and initiated by my Dream Made Stitches. One of the prompts since I saw you, we started this 3 weeks ago, and the first one was pick a whip older than 5 years. So none of my active whips fall into that category. So I had to go digging around in the archive, and I came up with a chart of which I have 4 in the collection. Some of you in Australia might be quite familiar with these. They sat around Spotlight for quite a long time. I believe I started this well before 2010, but it could have been in my stash a lot longer than that. And out of the 4, I've pretty much got steady progress on all 4 of them, but I selected just one to work on for this particular prompt. It's Little Miss. It's a DMC kit. This one's called Melody. It has metallic thread and a lot of half stitches and back stitching. She's very cute, but very not my current style. Very fun to work on though. I've used all the called for in the kit, and it's a 14 count aider. And this is where I am at on this piece. So as a little bit of fun, this was great to pull out. So I've actually done quite a lot of work on this one in the stitching itself. I did work on a little bit of the pink in the border, and I brought in a little bit of her podium here, and I did the back stitching in her shoe. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. So let's have a look there up close there on the back stitching, and then you can see the half stitches here, which are going to come around and form that sort of little stage that she's standing on. Previous me had already done some back stitching on this piece. Go me. So it'd be great to get your thoughts on, should I continue on this particular whip? Should this one be thrown into my active whip pile? That's the question. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget I have 3 others as well. So if this one comes back in, we might have to do a bit of a rotation. I was also thinking in terms of plans that I might actually also do a Stitch Me Saying Wow whip parade and just select those particular pieces that I have as a collection, a little Flosstube extra to share with you all. Let me know if that's something that interests you. I might rustle that up in the very near future actually. It's something that is, you know, I'm really passionate about, and I generally work on a good amount of the ones that I have in that segment every time I see you, and I have a nice variety now. So yeah, let me know. I think I'll work towards that. Other plans that I have, as I indicated, next month is my birthday month, and I do plan on some new starts. Haven't locked those down yet. Anyone interested in selling with me, let me know. You kind of know what I like, what I don't like. What I don't like, I like everything. What I prefer to stitch. Yeah, jump over. If August is your birthday month, if you're a Leo, be great to hear from you. I also have a plan to start my very first ink circles come the end of the month. Those plans are not completely locked down yet, but keep an eye out on Instagram because I would definitely be posting that. And as I said, it's my first ink circles. I've been perusing that website for such a long time, but have finally, I think, locked down my choice, my first option. What else do I want to do? I'll definitely have more plans for my Wheel of Stitches, chosen by Alicia and Angie after I spin next month. And I'd also like to jump on board actually the Fine Arts Friday sale that Bohemian Stitchery has started, and I saw that also highlighted on Stitching Moon's Flosstube. I love Stitching Moon. Megan, I watch you regularly. Congratulations on your pregnancy. I don't know if you watch me, but I saw that you were going to jump on the Fine Arts Friday sale, and so that would be something that I think would be great for me to get some work on my Starry Starry Night full coverage piece that you guys haven't seen since last year, if I'm honest. So that's definitely a must coming up. Other than that, random new birthday starts and life. Working really furiously at the moment, having a lot of fun there in that space, and raising my girls, so that's keeping me all very busy. And yeah, just working on the whips that I do have, and looking forward to and thinking about a whip parade, because since my debut last year, I think I've doubled the number of whips that I do have. So that would be nice to share at some point. Okay, I think that's all from me tonight. I'm getting tired. It's Sunday night. It's time to go to bed. I hope you've enjoyed this video and stuck with me this entire time. Please subscribe if you are new here. Ring that bell, like, comment, share your thoughts with the questions that I've asked. I'm really interested in your ideas. And most importantly, happy stitching, everybody, because that's why we do this. It is so much fun to share our hobby and talk about it with you all wherever you are in the world. So I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.